What's up friends, Paul here, and today we're going to be talking about the LG C2 48-inch OLED screen TV. This thing is amazing. It comes in a massive box, and as you can see behind me, it is a beautiful display. It's OLED, super amazing, but is it too big at 48 inches to use as a monitor for your MacBook Pro or maybe another device? Or would you be better off picking up the 42-inch version of the LG C2, or possibly even a smaller 27-inch 4K LG screen monitor, an actual monitor, not a TV. So stay tuned. So you're probably wondering, hey Paul, why the LG C2? So I'm glad you asked. Basically, I was looking for a monitor for my creative workflow. Typically speaking, in the past, I've used a 16-inch, 15-inch, and now a 14-inch MacBook Pro as my main screen for my creative work. And when I got spoiled and I tried the iMac 27-inch screen, I really felt like it made a big improvement having that extra screen real estate. And so I was looking for something a little bigger. Well, I went a lot bigger. I went with the 48-inch screen TV. And you might be wondering, why the LG C2? So I was watching other YouTubers, one in particular, Parker Welbeck, that was using the LG C2 42-inch version. And I decided, hey, if these other YouTubers are using it and they're recommending it with the deep blacks of that OLED screen, why not give it a try? And so I did. And it's a great screen. However, I don't necessarily think it's the best monitor, and let me tell you why. If at any point you want to check out the items mentioned in this video, be sure to check the description below for links. So the features of this LG C2 48-inch TV is that it has a stunning OLED panel that gives you those inky blacks, stunning picture quality, and not only that, but it also has a 120 Hz refresh rate, which gamers will love since it will support your 120 frames per second that your device might have. So it's also equipped with LG's WebOS Smart TV platform, which offers a wide variety of streaming apps, including Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and more. You can even cloud game with NVIDIA GeForce. As you can tell, the waiting line, if you've got the free version of NVIDIA, can be quite long for popular games like Fortnite. But if you've got a paid membership, you probably can enjoy that a little bit more. And if you're also a Game Pass member, you can access the Xbox cloud gaming through the browser. So that is an option as well. Let me tell you, the screen looks amazing for gaming. I tried this screen with an Xbox Series S, and I was blown away by the quality. Playing games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, and just the quality was amazing. That's it. Before we continue on, I want to ask you to smash that subscribe button down below. Thank you. So the LG C2 honestly was designed with home entertainment in mind. It wasn't designed to be used as a monitor. However, with the features that it packs, it kind of could be a good option for those that are looking for a large display, and maybe they also want to have that entertainment functionality. Maybe they want a game on the side. This would be a great option for that. However, I do think that it's more of an entertainment device than a productivity monitor. You might be wondering what the unboxing experience is like, and let me tell you, it is a large screen TV. And so with that, I recommend that you get a buddy when you're moving this TV around and getting it set up. An extra hand will go a long way because it is tricky to maneuver and it is super thin, which it's beautiful, but at the same time, I just get worried about it breaking. So have a buddy with you when you set it up and move it. Another thing to keep in mind is the pixels per inch, or the PPI, also called pixel density. On the 48-inch, it's going to be a slightly lower amount than the 42-inch version. They're both 4K, but the LG C2 42-inch packs, from what I understand, more pixels. From what I found online, it looks like 106 pixels per inch on the 42 inch, which is pretty similar to most monitors. From what I understand, you might see monitors around 113, maybe 137. I believe the 4K display, and I'll probably put asterisks if I mess up any of these details, but the 4K display, the LG 27-inch 4K display, I believe packs about 137 pixels per inch. With the pixels per inch, the main thing to consider here is the viewing distance and the crispness of text. So the closer you are to the screen, the more likely you'll be able to distinguish the individual pixels, whereas the further away you are, the less pixels. That's why Apple has their whole Retina explanation, because of viewing distance and the amount of pixels that they have. So their phones are very pixel dense, whereas the computer monitors or MacBook Pros for that matter can be slightly less pixel dense because they're not going to be holding it as close to their face. I'll show you a little bit of how they compare when you have the pixel density on the MacBook Pro screen, the 14-inch, and then you can also see it on my 27-inch 4K display, and then also on the 48-inch version. So you can see a little bit of what I'm talking about. Don't mind the shaky camera, sorry about that. So again, the further you sit away from the screen, the less likely you will be to distinguish the individual pixels. So that's something to keep in mind, is your viewing distance when you're purchasing your monitor. One thing that you might not realize is how big and heavy this TV really is. And so to compare it with the 42-inch version that you might be also considering, is that the 48-inch version comes in at 39.7 pounds with the stand. And then the 42-inch version comes in at 22.3 pounds. So that's a pretty significant difference. That's about 17 pounds. And so if you need to move it around, I would say the 42-inch is definitely a better option because it's a lot more portable. It's still big, but it's a lot more portable considering the two options. Once you have the LG C2 unboxed, you just go through the setup that they have. It's pretty simple. I believe you can use your phone to get it set up, or you can just use the remote, which the remote is pretty interesting. They have the scroll wheel in the middle. It moves just up and down, and then they have the regular up, down, sideways functionality of the pad around it. What you can do is you can use it like a mouse. So you can move it around and select the different options, which you get used to after a while, but at first it's kind of strange. But it's neat to have that functionality. Once you get it all set up, then you can attach your devices. So I've got my computer here. That's the MacBook Pro M1, and I'm connected via the HDMI port. One thing to keep in mind if you are using a MacBook Pro, the M1 series, the M1 Max and the M1 Pro MacBook Pros only support the 60 frames per second, the 60 refresh rate, because it doesn't have the newer HDMI 2.1. However, if you have the newer M2 Pro or M2 Max chips in the MacBook Pro, you will get the full 120 frames per second. I tested it out when I had one in here, and it worked with the 120 refresh rate.
As for connectivity, the LG C2 does not disappoint. On the side, you'll get 3 4K at 120 Hz HDMI ports, as well as 1 USB in. On the back, you'll get 1 more 4K at 120 Hz HDMI, as well as 2 USB in. You'll get the IR blaster and an antenna/cable in, as well as the audio headphone out, an RS-232C input mini jack, an optical digital audio out, an Ethernet/LAN, as well as internally it has Bluetooth version 5.0, as well as Wi-Fi 802.11 AC.
So seeing the screens side by side, it's amazing to see how massive the 48-inch screen really is. You see the 14-inch display on the MacBook Pro next to the 27-inch LG 4K display, and then finally the 48-inch stunning OLED display. It is massive. So you need to keep that in mind. Your desk size, your setup, is it too big? Because you want to figure out the optimal viewing distance that you might need. Obviously, you can resize windows and have a black background to help with that. But in reality, 40 inches is massive and it might be too large for your setup. So please keep that in mind before you buy this. My personal recommendation is definitely consider the 42 inch over the 48 inch if you are using it primarily as a productivity tool. However, I would even say that perhaps the 42 inch and the 48 inch are just too big for everyday workflow usage. I personally think that you might be better off with the 32 inch or the 27 inch. Let's talk for a moment about the screen real estate on this LG C2. You get significant boost in screen real estate compared to the other screens. That's the one big benefit, is you can have some open windows up top if you need to reference things or you need to drag something in. But the majority of the time, due to the way I have it set up on my desk, I only use the lower portion when I was using it, because I would just have to look up too much every single time. Like I need to access something, I just have to look up. So that's something to keep in mind, is that you want to just have it set up in a way that's comfortable for you and make sure that it's not too much screen in front of your eyes. You don't want to hurt your eyes, obviously. On the flip side, it does offer some functionality improvements when you're working with large projects that you need that extra screen real estate to be able to see the whole timeline, especially if you're video editing or if you're working on a podcast and you just have this long, it's sometimes helpful to have that extra space to see the waveform for a longer distance without having it scrunched up on a tiny screen. So in that case, like, it does help in that way, but is it too much screen for everyday use? The video editing experience on the LG C2 is pretty amazing because you get that inky blacks. Not only that, but you also have a lot more screen to work with. This allowed me to notice details that I might not have noticed on a smaller screen. Not only that, but just watching YouTube videos was very enjoyable. And that too, I noticed details that I wouldn't have noticed otherwise. And it made me appreciate certain aspects of people's videos that I was seeing via the new bigger screen. As with any display, I encourage you to check the scalability settings on your screen, whether the native resolution of 4K works best for you or perhaps a scaled version of that would be best. That's something to consider. Overall, this is a fantastic display that combines a lot of functionality and features for a decent price, considering your options. However, if you're looking for a monitor for computer, I would consider maybe the 42 inch or even something smaller. Of course, as with most products, there are pros and cons, and so we'll dive into some of those. First of all, it's an amazing display. It's a massive 48 inch display. However, with that, there are some downsides. It takes up a ton of space on your desk. As you can see, that's basically my top shelf of my desk is just the monitor. Before that, I had my audio monitors, not like TV. I had the audio monitors on there. So that's something to consider if you need that space for other things. The 48 inch just takes up a lot of room. Another thing to consider is maybe it would be better to mount it on the wall, giving you more distance between you and the screen. This will also help with the perceived quality of the or sharpness of the display, because the further you are from the screen, the pixel density won't matter as much. And then also the price tag. This is an expensive piece of equipment, whereas if you want to save money, there are other options available that are much cheaper, which will give you probably 90 to 80% of the functionality that you're probably looking for, if not everything. On the plus side, you get a massive screen with beautiful color representation and contrast that OLED, it's just so hard to beat OLED's contrast because of those inky blacks. Some of the cons are that it's primarily a TV. Let's be honest. It doesn't support your USB-C on your MacBook Pro or other devices. And it doesn't auto shut off like you would want on a monitor. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing is the risk of burn-in. Although from the reviews that I've seen, I don't think many people have experienced an issue with burn-in. Again, no USB-C support, so keep that in mind. After using the LG C2 as a monitor, my recommendation is this. If you're looking for a monitor, perhaps consider the 42-inch version or just get an actual monitor that's smaller or the right size that you need. If your primary use is entertainment, then I might actually recommend the 55-inch because from what I've found on YouTube reviews, the 55-inch panel is actually better than the 48-inch and also I believe the 42-inch. So something to keep in mind if you're primarily looking for an entertainment screen, perhaps you already have a monitor and you're looking to supplement that with another display, that's where I might recommend getting the 55-inch if you have the room and the space to support that. Obviously, that would probably be something that you'd mount on the wall and not something for your desk. Personally, I don't know if the LG C2 48-inch TV is a right fit for me. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful display with OLED and offers massive amounts of screen real estate. However, practically speaking, for my uses, I think I'm gonna be better off with the 27-inch LG 4K display. It's so far been a great option, and I will tell you, I did consider the 32-inch option. However, I found a good deal on this 27-inch, so I decided to go with that. If you want to check out any of the things mentioned today, I encourage you to check the links in the description. And until next time, my friends, stay techie.
What's up, friends? Paul here, and welcome today. Let's try it again. Before we continue on, I want to invite you to smash that subscribe button down below. Thanks. What's up, friends? Paul here, and today we're going to be talking about the LG C2. What's up, friends? Paul here, and into this. So perhaps you're wondering, Paul, why the LG gives a great experience if. So you might be wondering if. So personally, for me, I don't think I think it's a bit much, and I'll be better off with the 4K 27-inch LG monitor. That's a lot of, I've just been saying way too many LG C2, LG, 4K, yeah. Let's do that again. Until next time, my friends, stay techy.